Okay, so I think it's all go. Okay, so yeah, we got live on the left. It's recording. Okay, so hi everybody, and welcome to Canadore's 2026 Spring Pre-Departure webinar. Um, this is a webinar basically designed to get you guys a bunch of the information you're going to need before you come to Canada in well probably Mayish. So we're just going to wait a little bit to see if people are filing in, wait for people. We're going to wait about 5 minutes and we're going to get the presentation started at 9:05. Um, so until then, feel free to get acclimated to the webinar, I guess. Yeah, so maybe we could play elevator music here next time. Um, Yeah. Also, you guys might note there is a Q&A feature available. I'm just going to ask right now that you leave all your questions until the end. At the end of the presentation, we'll be answering any questions you have. So yeah, just wait till the end for your questions, basically. Hey, we got a couple more people filing in. That's nice. I'm wondering what the weather's like where you guys are because it's just starting to warm up here and the snow is finally melting. We had a bit of a late start though. So,
I saw some people have a tour the other day and they asked, is it always this much snow here? And the
yeah.
person that was giving the tour said, the snow already melted.
Just wait a couple more minutes for people and I'll reintroduce myself and the presentation. All right, so it's 9:05, so I'm just going to get started here. So welcome everybody to Canadore International's Spring 2026 Pre-Departure webinar. This is a session basically designed to get you guys a bunch of the information you'll be looking for before you come to Canada. We'll talk a bit more about exactly what we're going to cover. but I'll just introduce myself briefly. My name is Christopher Smith. I work here in the international office as a student support coordinator. When you're here in Canadore, you can feel free coming to me or any of my colleagues across the school with any questions, and we'll try to help you best we can, get the answers for you, and all that. So, without further ado, I'm just going to get started. So I'd like to pass the the metaphorical microphone to Jessica, who's going to lead us in our land acknowledgement.
As we begin this pre-departure session at Canadore College, we want to take a moment to acknowledge the land we're on. We do this to show respect and gratitude for the Indigenous people who have lived here for many generations. Canadore College is located on the traditional territory of the Anishinaabe people within lands protected by the Robinson-Huron Treaty of 1850. This land has been home to the Nipissing First Nation since time immemorial. Even though we are meeting virtually today, we want to recognize the importance of the land we call home. This is part of our commitment to building better relationships and understanding between nations, and to learning more about the local Indigenous peoples and their cultures. Across Canada, we acknowledge the land of the Inuit, Métis, and First Nation peoples.
All right. Thank you, Jessica. All right, so I'm just going to briefly go over what we'll be talking about and roughly what times we'll be talking about them, just so you guys have an idea. So we're going to start off with an introduction to Canada, and Leanne is going to be delivering that part. Then Sylvie is going to be talking about registration-related matters, so you guys are probably going to want to listen up for that. Probably have a couple questions. Uh, Sonia is going to then be talking about travel-related matters, so like stuff you need to think about when you're on your way to Canada and getting here. And then Jessica is going to cover a bunch of important things to think about. So this is like a general category, um, stuff like finances, stuff like housing. So pay attention during then. And then I'm going to talk about health insurance and then what you can expect living in Canada. And then finally, a student, Hetfi, is going to talk about her perspective about Canadore and Canada. At the end, we'll be taking Q&A questions. So if you guys have any questions, I please ask for you to leave them till the Q&A session at the end where we can answer them. All right, so starting things off, I'm going to pass the microphone to Leanne to talk about Introduction to Canada.
Thank you, Chris. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone. My name is Leanne Badial, part of the International Department team, and I'm here to give you a bit of an introduction to Canada. Next slide, please. So you will see here, North Bay is located basically the northeast part of Ottawa. Sorry, of Ontario. Next slide, please. Okay, so just a bit about North Bay. So the advantage of North Bay's location is that we are in close proximity to major centers, and we are considered north, gateway to the north, because it connects the major highways in all directions, making travel and communication easy. North Bay is a vibrant, mid-sized city with beautiful scenery. The lifestyle that is more connected to nature and a number of cultural attractions. Being a diverse community, students quickly discover our community is a college-friendly city. Residents are warm and they are proud of the culture and character. North Bay is actually a great place to live, and if you enjoy the outdoors and you want larger city amenities while maintaining a sense of a small and safe community, this is the place to be. Next slide, please. So this is just a quick snapshot of the distances from major centers from North Bay to Sudbury. Sudbury is only an hour and a half. Toronto, about 3.5 hours. Hamilton, Ottawa, our capital, is about 3.5 to 4 hours. And Montreal is about 6 hours. And so that just gives you a quick snapshot of how central we really are. Next slide, please. Okay, so when you are here in North Bay, you will have the pleasure of experiencing all 4 seasons, each offering its own unique activities and charm. So when you arrive, it will be spring. So the temperatures will start to warm up. So once you've settled in and begun your classes, we do recommend that you start preparing for the beautiful seasons ahead. So there will be spring, then the summer, fall, and winter. For those wondering what there is to do in North Bay during the spring and summer, there's lots. So we are known for beautiful public beaches along our Lake Nipissing and Trout Lake, where you can actually jump into our freshwater lakes for a cool dip during the hot summer days and nights. We also have a free summer concert series every Wednesday during the summer months, June, and July. So that'll be a great opportunity to listen to wonderful local music. And we also have beautiful parks. And actually, you'll be coming in to a season where you'll be able to watch our Ontario Hockey League's battalion during their playoffs. So there will be some opportunities for hockey if you'd like to go watch some hockey. Look for what we recommend to students is to look for North Bay community groups on Instagram, Facebook, and other platforms to get information on events and activities and to keep you connected to others. The Canadore website also has a lot of engagement, so that's another location where you might want to consider looking into. The North Bay District Multicultural Center, we do have that here in North Bay, connects you with other international persons. So if you're looking for some familiar taste of home or just some supports, they are wonderful. You'll be pleased to find many services here in North Bay to help support your transition. We also have international grocery stores and restaurants in the area. So that's also great because we've become so diverse that we'll have different foods for different palates. So we do highly encourage you to explore. I think that's it for now. And next slide, please. So again, just to give you a quick intro, if you look at the average high, so as we're coming into, we are in April now, so the average temperatures will be about 15 degrees. As of course, as we approach summer months, we will have average 23 degrees, and then September to November, 10, and then the winter varies. It can get very cold, but by then you'll be anxious to see what winter is all about. Next slide, please. Okay, so as mentioned, we are going to the spring weather. So we want to make sure you're ready for that. So some tips that we have here are listed. So we do encourage to wear layers. Bring a waterproof jacket. There'll be a lot of rain in the spring, typically. And so either a waterproof jacket, an umbrella for that wet weather, and also some waterproof shoes or boots. So there's you can purchase that here in North Bay. We have lots of variety. We've got gently used stores that you can purchase them from or brand new, but you can find all that when you're here. And also we recommend you check daily weather forecasts before leaving home. Now here we have a lot of waterways, so we just want to make sure you're alert and you stay alert near the waterways as water levels may increase quickly. Next slide, please. Okay. All right, so introduction to Canada life on campus. So you'll see a few pictures here. The first one is our Harris Learning Library. It's a beautiful space where students can do their studies, their homework. A very quiet place. It's beautiful. It's located here at College Drive. Also, you'll see the Education Center cafeteria. We have a cafeteria at all of our 3 locations here in North Bay. At Commerce Court, you will see the Panther Dome, and that's a wonderful facility that was just opened up about a year and a half ago. And we have fitness centers. We have, of course, the international office. We are here to support everything. If you're in doubt, you just come and see us, and we will be able to help redirect you or help you. And then also, there's some kitchen appliances that are within, if you're staying at residence, you'll have that kitchen appliances that you can use to make your own food. And we also have a lot of grocery stores and fast food options that are located near campus. Next slide, please. Okay, this is a very important slide. So we do have an international orientation session planned for May 1st. So that's Friday, May 1st at 9 o'clock. So this is mandatory because you will learn more about the services that our campuses serve. You'll get an opportunity to meet new friends within your classroom or your program, sorry. Also, you'll understand academic expectations and you'll have the opportunity to meet some of the staff and faculty. And in addition, if let's see, it looks like you might be already registered. If not, so we will be able to touch on that after. But there's also, if there's more questions that you have, please feel free to look at our frequently asked questions that are available online on our website. Next slide. Thank you. That's the end of my section.
All right. Thank you, Leanne. So now again, I'm going to introduce Sylvie, who's going to talk about registration related matters.
Hi, everyone. I hope you're all doing well today. So to begin with, when you accept an offer and receiving your letter of acceptance or LOA, just know that that does not automatically register you for class. Okay, so registration is a completely different process. So basically, the process for registration or leading up to registration to be permitted to register, you first have to make sure you pay your fees on time as per page 2 of your LOA. And there will be documentation that you need to upload to your OCAS account, such as your visa stamp and your study permit and co-op work permit. So the steps for this is before you travel to Canada, you will receive your visa stamp in your passport. You'll need to upload that to your OCAS account. And once you receive your study permit upon arrival at the airport in Canada, you'll need to upload that document as well to your OCAS account. And you can do that. You can do that by going, when you log into your OCAS account, you'll go to supporting documents. You will select the appropriate document type. So one would be visa, the other one would be study permit. And if your program has a clinical component or a field placement component, you will also upload your co-op work permit. You would know if there's a placement or clinical component because your LOA will have a separate letter attached to it stating that you do need a co-op work permit. So like I said, you'll navigate to supporting documents, and when you go to upload these documents, make sure that you input the UCI number and the expiry date of your study permit when prompted to do so. Next slide, please. Okay, so the next steps. Once you upload these documents to your OCAS account, our team here will then review them. It takes approximately, I want to say 24 business hours. The reason why I say this is if you upload your documents on a Friday night or on a Friday late afternoon, we won't be reviewing those until the Monday. So just give us some time to the following business day to review your documents, so that we can make sure that your study permit is for Canadore's DLI, that it's got the proper information on it. Then what will happen is you will see when you log into your student self-service account, when you go to student registration, post-secondary web registration, then that's when you'll see that you're able to register. You'll know this because there'll be a blue link with your program listed on it. Otherwise, it'll just say your registration window is not open. Just know that once you complete your registration, that is when you'll be able to have access to your timetable. But note that we do not have access to your timetable prior to you completing your registration. Next slide, please. So what happens if you receive a visa refusal? Nobody wants to have that happen. However, your options are that you may want to request a deferral to the next available intake. The deferral deadline is April 20th at 11:59 p.m. If you miss that deadline, there is a good chance that you will need to reapply for the next available intake, pay the application fee, and then you're not guaranteed another offer. Okay, it all depends on the amount of seats that are available and different factors. Once your deferral is approved, then you can reapply or resubmit for another visa study permit application by using your new letter of acceptance or LOA. Deferrals are not permitted for certain programs, such as our high demand, high interest programs, such as personal support worker, practical nursing, our BSCN program, renovation techniques. Those are just some to name a few. But if you still plan on attending Canadore and reapplying for your study permit,
Nope, I think Sylvie froze there. I'm not sure why that is. Just gonna give it a couple minutes or like a minute or so. Okay, I'm just gonna pick up where she left off. Okay, so as she was saying, you know, you guys have the option to defer your thing or defer your study in the case of a refusal, but also you have the option to withdraw. And to withdraw, basically, you basically withdraw and get a refund. So if that's the case, you have a withdrawal and refund. You fill out the international refund form. The link can be found here. All the refund requests are initiated through the OCAS portal. The student receives automatic email responses from OCAS when the college approves your refund. So because this is the case, if you do send multiple requests, any sort of duplicates or multiples will be deleted. If you're having trouble requesting a refund through OCAS, either because it's closed or your deferral request was denied, you can submit the form to canadore.internationalar@canadorecollege.ca. So just a couple things to keep in mind if this is the case. There's a $300 admin fee, which is withheld for visa refusals with proof, of course. If you're withdrawing before the 10th day of class, the college will withhold $2,700. No refunds, like absolutely no refunds or withdrawals for after the 10th day of class, and it could take up to 8 weeks if you're requesting a refund for it to be fully processed and returned to your account. So this is something you guys should all keep in mind too with regards to your study. Canadore has an IT policy of bring your own device. What this is basically it means that for your program, you are required to have the proper mobile computing device that meets the minimum technical specifications outlined by each program. So, different programs have different technical specifications. All this is saying is, okay, you need to make sure that you have the proper devices for it. If you're curious on which devices your program needs, you could visit canadorecollege.ca/bring your own device. There's also a QR code right here you can scan for information on this. And then just a couple things to note related to that is you're responsible for the cost of your laptop and software on it, ensuring that you have a laptop before classes begin, the cost of repairs, and then adhering to the Canadore's computer and network resource acceptable use policy. You also need to make sure you have access to stable and consistent internet service and the latest version of an internet browser because a lot of the online services we use require that. All right. So Um, that's it for registration related matters. I'm going to pass the mic on to Sonia, who's going to talk about travel related matters.
Thank you, Chris. Hello, everyone, and a very warm welcome to this session. Um, I am sure that many students now go online and check information about travel related matters, but we'll try to share some information that we think is important and necessary that you keep in mind before you travel. Next slide. So, the most important aspect before you travel is that you know where you're going to stay in Canada. There are students who have relatives and friends in Canada and they plan for a few days with them, but make sure that you either book for the residence, which is on campus residence at Canadore, and if you don't plan to stay on residence, then you must look for an off campus accommodation before you travel. If you're traveling a couple of weeks in advance of the class start, you have enough days to look into. But if you're traveling just at the end moment, make sure you plan before you take flight from your home country. There are multiple student groups on Telegram, on WhatsApp, on Facebook. So it's a kind of an informal way of connecting with your peers and some of your seniors who are our alumni. It gives you good information about North Bay. So if you want, you can kind of join those as well. You must make sure that you download the iSent app. It gives you a lot of information like the pre-departure session, when is the orientation, about your payments, a lot of details about the workshops on campus. So it's kind of very helpful in terms of information that you get about deferrals as well. So you must have the iSent app on your phone. And we'll talk later during this travel related matters about how to travel to North Bay in the later slides. Next slide, Chris. So when you kind of get your study visa, make sure that you book for your flight at that time only. In my past few years in this industry, I've noticed some students book the flight before they get the study approval, and then you go into those things of cancellation charges. And most of the students that I'm aware, they use travel agents to book tickets. So make sure that if you, though it is suggested that you should always book after the visa approval, but if you're booking before, make sure they're fully refundable with no cancellation charges, okay? You should also, if you're having connecting flights, you should have enough time between the two flights to make sure that you don't miss any. If you need any transit visa, you must also make note of that so that you're not hassled at the airport. Um, your medical coverage, you pay for your insurance and your tuition, and it starts 15 days before your class start date. However, if you're arriving before that, you make sure that you have a supplemental insurance to cover those days. If you're coming before more than 15 days before the class start date. Different airlines have different policies, though the baggage remains at 23 kgs per bag. There are certain airlines that give the advantage of 3 bags to students if they're first time students. So make sure you do research on that if you're carrying a lot of luggage, though it is suggested that you don't carry a lot of stuff from your home country because you get everything in Canada. However, you must pack smartly with some essential items that we are going to cover in the next slide. So, very essential. You must carry your clothes and shoes and hygiene products. You must have an all country charger. That's very helpful if you're coming through connecting flights, and if you are, let's say, an airport in Europe, they have different charging points. So make sure you have an all country charging pin. You must carry certain stationery supplies. I always tell students to carry photocopy of your documents, the documents that you need while you are at the airport. It doesn't happen often, and I'm not saying to think negative, but we always should have a plan B. I have known students who have missed documents while they were traveling, the original documents. So make sure you always carry photocopy of your documents in your handbag that you carry while you are on the flight. Um, Please don't carry stuff that is not allowed in Canada. Um, I know students try to kind of bring a lot of, pickles and chilies and fruits, vegetables. Please don't do that. You get everything in Canada, and you should bring the stuff that is actually needed in your bags, okay? We have also provided the link on this slide about the restricted items. You must go through that to avoid any hassles at the airport. Next slide. Now we come to what you can carry in your carry-on bag, which is around 7 kgs. Your travel-related documents, as I was saying before, plus a photocopy of your documents. It's very essential to just stay safe. You must carry a power bank if you have it, and um, if you are suffering from any medical conditions, you must carry medicines. And normal medicines, whether it's for fever or stomach ache, you must carry, because when you travel, you can get such issues. All important documents, whether it's your financial documents, your mark sheets, most importantly, your passport, your IELTS or PTE. Result, you must carry all that. I have, through my experience, I know that some students, they feel cold at airports and airplanes. You must carry a very comfortable light jacket if you want. These are little things that make your travel very comfortable. Sometimes we have come across students who feel hungry. When you're young, you feel more hungry. So I'm not saying carry a lot of stuff, but like maybe a packet of biscuit or wafers in your bag is always helpful. Never carry any sharp items or tools. They're not allowed, and they'll be taken out during the security check. Next slide. So when you arrive at the airport, you have to follow signs for the CBSA, which is Canada Border Services Agency. You will be required to complete your declaration. So general information, where are you coming from? And was it a direct flight, not a direct flight? Are you carrying any stuff that's not allowed in Canada? That's what is in the declaration form. The border officer will do the initial check and will actually make you go to the secondary examination, and they will check all your documents. And that is when we said that you must have a file of all your documents, including your IELTS and financial documents and mark sheets, whatever you have used before the process, and your offer letter, the most important thing. So make sure you carry all your documents in the file, which the border officer is going to check. After the secondary examination, you get a go ahead and you go to the luggage section. And while getting out of the airport, you obviously hand over that declaration card um, at the exit point. The most important thing I always tell students is, though there are a lot of signs at the airports, but I know that you might be traveling to a new country for the first time. There's always some anxiety and hesitation. Make sure that you look around for the signs. Never hesitate to ask questions. People are really nice, and Canadians are actually very nice people to kind of help, especially students who are coming for the first time. So never shy away from asking questions, and it is for your own benefit only. Next slide. And as I was mentioning in my previous slide also, that insurance is covered 15 days before the class start. And as per the rules, you can come 4 weeks before the program start. The residence rooms will be available for 3rd May for the spring intake. And if you're coming before that, you must take a confirmation before April 23rd, so that even if you've booked the residence, you might not be out of place if you're coming early. We always suggest students to be there on campus for the orientation, which my colleague Leanne was telling you about on May 1st. But if you are not able to attend orientation, then you must be there on the first day of the class. We always suggest students to not be late for your classes. We do not allow any extension. If you're coming late, you might lose your seat. There is no exceptions to arriving late for your class start date. Next slide. So if you're coming to Toronto Pearson and then taking a flight to North Bay, you will land at the Jack Garland Airport, and there are options for your taxi services to go to your residence or off-campus accommodation. However, if you're traveling directly from Pearson Airport to North Bay via road, Northern Airport service is a very good service. You don't even have to come out of the airport. From the airport, you take this bus service and you can mention the address of the drop-off point in North Bay, and it's a very comfortable, good service. And I usually suggest students to take that. On the whole, I would just say last thing that don't take too much stress about packing, but make sure you carry two most important things. One is confidence, the other is smile. And once you carry that, things become a little easy. Thank you, Chris. And I think the next section is for Jess.
All right. Thank you, Sonia. All right. So, like Sonia said, I'm going to pass the mic to Jess, who's going to talk about a bunch of important things. So pay a lot of attention here because there's a lot of important stuff.
Good morning or evening or afternoon, everybody. We do like to have a lot of fun here, but I'm about to get out of my comfort zone and get very serious with you for a couple of minutes. So we'll move on, Chris. So the first thing we need to talk about, I don't know if any of you are bringing children to Canada, which is perfectly wonderful. We love children here. But it's important to know that children are not allowed in the classrooms because it can be unsafe and it can cause distractions for the students and the teachers. If you do bring a child to the classroom, there'll be some conversations about having to find some childcare for them. If you continue to do it, there's a possibility that you'll be requested to leave. It's important to know that children who are under the age of 16 should never be left at home alone. And if you are looking for private daycare, make sure it's somebody that you trust and that has been vetted. There is childcare here in North Bay for your child. You have to be prepared for these fees, though. It can be $30 to $60 per child per day. And even if you only need childcare for 2 days, in order to keep them registered in childcare, you'll have to pay for 5 days for the week. If your child is under the age of school, you might need full day daycare. If they are over the age of, if they are going to be attending school, so 6 years and over, you might need childcare in the morning and in the evening, in the afternoon. So you have to be aware of that. If you are bringing children and you haven't put yourself on the list for childcare yet, which can be a lengthy wait time, a lot of people are on that wait list for a really, really long time, up to 6 years, please reach out to us so that we can try and get you on the list as soon as possible. You can email us at international@canadorecollege.ca. Just let us know you're bringing your child and we'll give you all the information that you need. We'll also be sending an email out to all of the students coming in very shortly with this information as well. But if you are bringing a child, please just reach out and we'll make sure that you have the information you need. We'll move on. So when you accepted your offer letter, you are also accepting the financial responsibilities. It's important to know that you need to be prepared for all of your expenses, not just your tuition and ancillary fees and your flight, but your books, your supplies, your food, your rent, which can be quite expensive here in North Bay, and then anything else. If you need childcare, you'll have to be ready for that responsibility as well. And in terms of transportation, we didn't update this, but for the spring term, if you are taking the bus, you have to opt in for the bus pass, and it's $277 on top of the other fees that you're already paying. It's important to know that finding a job here can be very difficult. We have students who are studying for 2 years and haven't found a job yet. So you cannot rely on a part-time job to pay your fees. You need to be fully prepared to pay all of these fees for the entirety of your studies before you come. So this is a very important consideration for you. And be prepared for the unexpected. Sometimes there might be a medical situation. Chris will go over the health insurance, but sometimes there are situations that are not covered. So you need to be prepared financially. We'll move on, Chris. Like I said, finding a job is not guaranteed, so you cannot rely on finding a job to pay your expenses. You need to be prepared financially before you come. And in almost all cases, there's no payment plans, there's no payment extensions, there is no tuition, lowering of tuition. These all have to be paid on time. And right now, those dates are listed in your offer letter. When you do come for your following semesters, they will be listed in the important dates and deadlines on our website. It's important for you, it's your responsibility to keep track of those dates and make sure your payments are made on time. If you don't, you could lose your seat. You might not have access to registration. We'll move on. Just in regards to being financially prepared, budgeting is really important. And I know this is hard sometimes when you're just leaving home for the first time. You're really excited. You have your own money, you have your own free time, your own freedom. But you have to make sure that all of your needs are paid for before your wants. So make sure your tuition, your rent, your food, your transportation, your school supplies, your childcare if you need it, any medications that you need that you have to pay out of pocket, make sure these are all paid before you go and have fun, like eating out, going to movies, buying the newest iPhone, or going on trips. We already said that payment plans are not an option. We want to make sure that you understand that. If you have any questions, if you have any concerns about your ability to budget and make sure that you're paying what you need versus what you want, that's okay. We understand it. We've been your age before. If you are younger, and come to us, we'll find you the right information. We'll find you the right people to speak to help you figure out those budgets. We'll move on. So this is just a summary. Make sure you're prepared to support yourself financially for the duration of your studies. You cannot rely on part-time work to cover your expenses. Any part-time work that you have should be considered a bonus. Employment challenges. So if you message us and say, I couldn't find a job, so I need help paying my tuition, I need to have installment fees or installment plan, that's not an acceptable reason. Make sure you plan your finances so that you can meet your obligations on time and avoid any unnecessary stress and not being able to register. We'll move on. Or is that it? So this is I believe this is the final one. So download the iSent app. We send a lot of information there. I am very serious right now, but we do send some fun things to do through iSent, including events, contests, important information from IRCC, et cetera, et cetera. We also have an Instagram page right now. So if you are not on our Instagram page, feel free to find us. I believe it's at Canadore International. You can find us there. Any information that you might need, you can go to our website. You can check our FAQs. And you have been receiving the Coming to Canada series. If you haven't been receiving these, please send an email to international@canadorecollege.ca and let us know so we can add you to our list. And if you still have questions after this, if it's in regards to your application or your registration, email international.admissions@canadorecollege.ca. For everything else, reach out to international@canadorecollege.ca. When you get here, we'll have orientation. Always welcome to stop by our office. Come see us, come say hi. You don't need to have a reason. Thank you.
All right. Thank you. Oh, just a quick thing I'm going to mention before the end of this. So there is some upcoming sessions for orientation. Also, there's going to be the Panther drop-in. So this is like an online session you can drop in. You can ask the team anything before the clock starts on April 9th. And yeah, basically it's just like a chat online Q&A thing. And then we also have on May 1st, Friday, May 1st from 9 to 12 or 9 to 1, there'll be the international orientation. All right. So thank you, Jessica. I'm just going to go into the health insurance briefly, because I'm sure you've heard this come up a couple times now and you're like, oh, what's going on with this health insurance stuff? Yeah, here it is. So pay attention. All right. So just briefly, I'm going to go over the timeline. So people kind of touched on this before, but basically the way it works is before the start of the term, there is an emergency coverage grace period. It starts 15 days before the start of class. So this means when you're coming to Canada, if you arrive 15 days early, you'll still have coverage. Now, it's important to note that all students are, there's no opting out of the health insurance. So all students basically, as long as you're studying here at Canada or as an international student, you're covered under the health insurance timeline or under the health insurance benefits. But you won't actually have access to the health insurance until the end of this timeline. So yes, you're covered, but you may have to wait, and I'll explain a bit more of that later. So once you arrive, you're in Canada, and the first day of class, this is when the full coverage actually begins. We're past the emergency grace period. And I'll talk a little bit more about what the specific benefits of this health insurance is. But as I said, you don't actually have access to the health insurance immediately. It takes about 10 days for it to be processed. And then after 10 days after the start of the term, so when you guys, just for reference, you guys will be starting on May 4th. So that would be about May 14th. You'll get emails with your login instructions and how to download your card. And then that's when you'll have access. I recommend to all students, they do this as soon as possible, as soon as they get the health insurance login instructions, just so,
100
just so,
1131.
just so, um, just so in case you do end up in an emergency situation that you have health insurance coverage, everything's set up and ready to go when you need it. Now, I did mention you don't have access to it all the time, but you are covered under this grace period and from the first day of class. What this means is you may have to pay out of pocket until you actually get access to it, but as long as the services provided fall under the insurance benefits, then you should be able to submit a claim to get reimbursed for the services. So now I'm going to talk a bit about, this is something you guys might be curious about if you have children or family coming with you, or if you are arriving early. So there is an option through the insurance to purchase coverage for dependents. The details for the policy are the exact same as for you. But it's important to note that they have to be purchased. They're not automatically covered. Now, if you are going through and purchasing insurance for your dependents, you basically would use the same policy number, which you'll be provided with, and date of birth to purchase for dependents. And if you are purchasing that, you basically need to purchase for the same length of time as your insurance coverage. So like, for example, you can't buy partial coverage for a month. You have to buy the whole term of coverage. Um, Also, you guys might be curious if you are, I did briefly touch on the coverage grace period, but if you are looking at arriving before that grace period, there is an option to purchase early arrival insurance. It's at a rate of $1.65 per day, and they kind of have a minimum of $20 purchase, so you can purchase, like, I guess that's roughly 15 days worth of insurance. And you can purchase more than that, but it's a minimum of $20. If you're curious, you can go to www.guard.me/Canadore International. All right. There's also a Canadore. If you are curious, this is where the link leads. We have a custom site for Canadore students under the Guard Me insurance. You can find out more information there. Also, feel free to reach out to Guard Me customer care. Their numbers are listed there at 1-888-756-8427 or 1-905-731-8291, or you can email them at customer@guard.me, customercare@guard.me, or the website, as I mentioned previously. Okay, so I want to go into a bit more detail about what the health insurance specifically covers, because this is pretty important. So just for your reference, the health insurance is primarily intended as an emergency insurance as emergency insurance. This means most of the benefits are for if you're in an immediate emergency or injured, something like that. It doesn't cover all kinds of services. It doesn't cover all services that you might incur. So, for example, but it does have some limited coverage for non-emergency stuff, and it's listed here, such as hospital, physician, surgery, diagnostic testing, uh, some prescriptions. It just says prescriptions, but this isn't all prescription medication. It's only prescription medication that is issued as part of an emergency treatment. So it won't cover your normal prescription medication for like chronic and pre-existing conditions. This is important to note because the wording can be a little vague. Physiotherapy, psychotherapy, ambulance charges. So if you're in an emergency, it'll cover those ambulance charges. There is pregnancy coverage, and I want to really stress this pregnancy coverage, because the details behind this pregnancy coverage can be important to students. So it covers up to 25,000 per insurance term for pregnancies. But it's important to note, it only covers pregnancies that were considered to have been initiated 30 days from the policy start. So as we noted, the policy officially starts on the first day of classes, so May 4th. So if your pregnancy was initiated, that means the child started forming, I guess, 30 days before the policy starts. So May 4th, that would be April 4th. And then it also covers dental accident and emergency dental insurance. So this isn't like normal dental coverage, like you're going for a checkup and you need braces or something like that adjusted. This is specifically if there is like a dental accident, for example, is like, oh, you fall and your tooth breaks. That's a dental accident. Emergency dental is, let's say you need a tooth, you're in severe pain and your tooth needs to be removed because it's got a cavity or something like that. That's a scary situation, but that's why the insurance is here, to help you in these kinds of emergency situations primarily. Also, it does list here family transportation benefit. What that basically means is it will cover transport for 2 members to come visit you if you're hospitalized for 7 or more days. All right. So now that insurance stuff is covered, feel free to ask questions at the end. If you have more questions about the insurance, but I'm going to talk about living in Canada. So this is a little more exciting because this is what you guys are going to be doing from day to day. So I'll just go over it. So we did kind of talk about part-time employment, and like we said, you can't really guarantee part-time employment. But if you are interested in employment in Canada, there's a ton of resources available to students. Here on campus, we have Canadore Employment Solutions, which is there to provide employment support, such as information on, oh, how do I prepare for an interview or resume or something like that. So you can go talk to them on campus. But also publicly in Canada, there's resources like the Job Bank, like LinkedIn Jobs and Indeed that you can help look for jobs. But it's important you know, when you're looking, like, be very careful about looking for jobs, because there is a known risk of job scams. So there's a couple red flags. This is basically like somebody's trying to steal your personal information or get access to your bank account through a job ad, and obviously we don't want that. It's not an ideal situation. So there's a couple things you can look to watch out for if you are worried about a job scam. So there's requests for personal and banking details. That should be an immediate red flag because usually jobs send you money, they don't want money from you. Urgent pressure to act, that's very common. If you get like stuff like, oh, you need to do this in 24 hours or else, you need to give us your banking details in 24 hours or else you're not going to get the job. That should be a big red flag. Also, sometimes this should be a red flag is if you see like a job where it's like high pay for simple tasks, like you got to clear somebody's driveway once a week and you get paid $4,000 a week. Yeah, that's maybe a bit disconnected from what normal pay for it would be, and that should be a red flag. Also, if you're looking into a company that's providing a job and they don't have like a lot of verifiable info online, that should also be a red flag. So in this case, what can you do if you're worried about job scams? Well, research the company before applying. Like we said, verifying that info will help you catch some of this red flags. If you're getting unsolicited job offers, kind of ignore them. They're probably scams. Use trusted job platforms like the Job Bank, like Canadore Employment Solutions. Never pay for a job. Like I said, jobs are usually sending you money, not asking for money. And if you're unsure about anything, feel free to come ask Canadore staff or trusted somebody you trust because they'll be happy to help you clarify anything. Another thing to note, stay informed. So watch out for the Coming to Canada email series. There's going to be a ton more information on coming to Canada with job search tips. All right. So now I'm going to talk about housing in North Bay. So there's two kind of options. You can live on campus or you can live off campus. So I'm just going to go through residence first. So if you're interested in residence, please, like staying on campus residence, please apply if you haven't already. There's probably a wait list, and depending on and you might not get in if you apply too late, depending on the number of applicants they're getting. You can find out more about applying to residence and the process at canadorecollege.ca/Canadore residence. But aside from that, there is a couple cool things about staying on residence. You're right next to campus. You have access to transit routes and grocery shopping nearby. But there's also fitness rooms included with residents, student lounges, on-site laundry, high-speed Wi-Fi is included, and like I noted, it's very close to grocery shopping and amenities and campus, so you have immediate access to all this stuff. But if you're not wanting to stay on campus for whatever reason, you can look into off-campus housing. But I will note it's important that you guys know it's your responsibility to find and acquire any sort of accommodation that includes on-campus housing. So if you're looking for off-campus, there is some places to help you search, like placesforstudents.com, if Kijiji, Facebook Marketplace, RentSeeker. Uh, there's also home share options, and you can find more about that at canadorecollege.ca/support/housing. All right. If you are interested in worshiping, like any sort of religion, North Bay actually has many churches of various faiths, including those of Christian, Catholic, and Muslim. These are some links, some QR codes you can follow. This is like a list of religious places of worship you can find in the North Bay or Parry Sound area. All right. Now, this is something I'm sure you guys are a bit curious about, getting a cell phone plan. So there's a ton of cell phone providers in Canada. These can include Fido, Kudo, Virgin, Rogers, Bell. They usually provide like plans that are friendly for international students, like talk time deals, that are usually based on the needs of each student. But if you are registering for them, you might require. They always require proof of ID. So we recommend you carry your passport, which is a valid ID for that for phone plans. But when you're getting off the plan or when you're getting off the plane and first arriving in Canada, you can always your cell phone providers usually have booths at the airport where you can get plans right away. basically, which is pretty convenient for students. And if you're interested in that, I would look into that at the airport you're arriving to, just to get your plan right away. Something else you guys might be curious about is banking. So I'm going to talk a bit about the Canadian banking system. So in Canada, we use the Canadian dollar, which you can see this very colorful, fancy note here. It's kind of a plasticky thing. It's got a clear see-through section. It's pretty cool. It's the only currency commonly accepted across Canada. So you can count on Canadian dollars being accepted, but not U.S. dollars or pesos, for example, if you're used to using those. And if you do have those currencies, you can exchange them for Canadian dollars at most currencies can be exchanged for Canadian dollars at any commercial bank. We do recommend that when you arrive to Canada, you have access to Canadian dollars in some form, either the fancy little notes or cash or card. Now, you guys are probably going to want to get a bank account, and there's a couple branches near campus and also spread out through North Bay. Also, the airport has banking branches where you can set up a bank account. So Canada has like the big five banks, and these are listed here. So TD, Bank of Montreal or BMO there, CIBC, RBC, or Scotiabank. They're pretty similar in what they offer to students. I'm not gonna lie to you guys, but yeah, it's up to you guys to check these out and get set up for banking. All right, so this is something I remember Sonia talked about. So in North Bay, there's actually an increasing amount of diverse food options and grocery options for students. Most grocery stores tend to have a international aisle with diverse food options that you might recognize from home. There's also now a couple grocery stores with food options focused to specific international markets. So I have a couple listed here. Some classics like No Frills, Freshco, Walmart, Spices Village, and Bulk Barn. These are where you're probably going to be looking for groceries. And on the right, you can see what it actually looks like when you're shopping in a grocery store. So that's typically what a Canadian grocery store would look like. There's also, if you're not interested in cooking yourself or picking up groceries, there's also a ton of restaurants, some pretty good ones, I might say myself. So if you're curious about restaurant options, you guys can talk to me because I've tried a lot of these out. So anyways, so we have a great diversity. So like you can see a bunch listed here. This is not an exhaustive list. You could see here like Mai Tai Palace, Gangnam Korea, Chai Miao. There's a ton. So yeah, feel free to ask me any questions or any of my coworkers. They've probably tried a lot of these out too, but I can't speak for them. So something else you guys might experience at first, and this happens to every international student, it really doesn't matter where you're from or what culture you're going into, is culture shock. This is, like I said, it's very common. Don't be afraid when you get it. You're like, I can almost guarantee that you guys are going to go through this. But typically it follows a pattern of you're moving to a new country, things start to seem exciting, thrilling, you're learning so much new stuff, you're getting used to the environment. But over time, you might run into some challenges, especially once your daily routine starts to set in, because you're noticing the differences. You're starting to be like, hey, why do people do stuff like this? This is a bit weird. It's normal, and it's really common to feel a bit overwhelmed or out of place when you're first transitioning. And honestly, this experience is not just like a flat thing. Like it comes up over and over again when you run into challenges. But eventually, you do get used to it, and things start to become normal or daily, or you get familiar with the institutions and organizations you're working with, and you'd be like, hey, now that I understand how this works, I'm more comfortable with it. This is the normal cycle. Now, there is some things that you can take, some actions you can take to help prepare yourself for culture shock. The first thing is knowing about culture shock. So you guys are already ahead. It can basically help you say like, hey, I know I'm going to go through this, time to kind of prepare. Also, what I would do is do some research into Canadian culture, norms, and what it's like dealing with institutions. So look into that. It can help you guys have an easier time when adjusting, because I will be honest, there is probably significant differences between institutions and culture in your home country and Canada. Even though there are probably people from your home country here, it doesn't mean there's not differences. and they're probably significant. So knowing ahead, doing a bit of research, it can make adapting easier. Also, when you're here, there's a bunch of campus support services available to help you adjust. So feel free to come participate in events, talk to staff. We're always happy to help, always happy to help you get adjusted. So feel free to do that. Some of you guys might be curious about driving in Ontario. We did touch on this briefly, but if you're an international student and you want to drive in Canada or Ontario, you'll need to obtain an international driver's permit from your own country and bring it when you bring it to Canada with with your valid driver's license from your home country. Once you're here, you also have the option to apply for an Ontario driver's license once you're in Ontario. If you're now, if you're curious about how that application process works for an Ontario driver's license, Ontario operates on what's called a graduated license system. Basically, it means new drivers get to try out various stages of driving while they're getting their license. So this basically helps reduce the risks that new drivers face, especially when driving in ice and snow, which can be a challenging environment to drive in. So for you guys, this means, okay, I start off, I do a written exam to get my first license, which is called a G1 driver's learning permit. And this lets you do a limited amount of stuff. You need to drive with other people who already have their driver's license, and you can only drive on certain roads, like not highways. And then you can then do a road test to get your G2, which expands your options. You can now drive on your own, but you're still limited to what kinds of roads you can drive on. And then finally, you do a second road test to get your full G license, and you're done. You have an Ontario driver's license. Congratulations. So that's a brief overview if you guys are interested. But if you want more information, please visit www.ontario.ca/page/driver's license. Okay, so if you guys aren't driving, or even if you are, you might be curious about other transportation options in North Bay. So North Bay, despite its size, not being like Toronto or something like that, has a bus system, and it covers the vast majority of the city. So you guys, like just mentioned, you'll have to pay, in addition to your fees, a $270 cost. To get access to the bus pass. You can find information on routes and on the North Bay Transit website at www.northbay.ca/transit. It depends on the timing and how busy it is, but most buses run every 15 to 30 or 60 minutes throughout the day. Yeah, and the day with shortened routes and running times on Sundays. There's also some other transport options. So you can book. We have like U-Ride, which is basically Uber. In case you're curious, you can book rides through the app. There's a couple cabs like Taxi 50 or You Need a Cab. And in the spring, summer, and fall, North Bay actually has a really excellent set of biking trails and bike routes that you can take throughout the city. If you don't want to take transit, a cab, or drive, it's actually a really great option. Might not want to do it in the winter when there's a bunch of snow on the ground, but I have heard people do it. So yeah. Um, in case if you're curious about how the transit works, you can download the MyRide NBT, which stands for North Bay Transit, from the Play Store. Uh, you provide your information, select payment option. You'll get more information on this later, and the app will let you know when to expect your ride and where to wait for your ride. You can look at the app to get real-time data on when the bus is going to arrive, and it can lead you to a convenient bus stop for pickup. You can also, there's also the option for dynamic dispatching, and you can call transit for that at 705-474-0419, but I believe that comes with an additional fee. All right, so that's it. I know that was a ton of information from me, but that's all I got for you for now. What I would like to do is pass the mic to one of our students, Hetvi, who's going to talk about her experience. Are you there, Hetvi? Oh, hello. All right.
Hello. Yeah.
All right.
Right. Hey everyone, my name is Hetvi Patel. I'm an international student here at Canadore College. I remember when I first came to Canada, everything felt new, exciting, but also a little scary. I'm originally from Uganda with roots in India,
Okay.
and right now I'm studying data analysis and research. But honestly, what has shaped my experience the most isn't just my program, it's the people I've met and the journey of adjusting to a new life. I also work as an international student navigator, so I get to meet a lot of students who are going through the same things we all went through in the beginning. And I'm sure many of you can relate the feeling of landing in a completely new place and not knowing what to expect. For me, North Bay wasn't just where I came to study. It slowly became a place where I felt more comfortable. It's quiet, it's safe, and honestly, that helped me focus on myself and grow. At first, I thought a small city might be boring, but it actually gave me space to build my life, make real connections, and feel balanced. So, based on my experience, I want to share a few things I wish someone told me before I came here. One of the things I learned the hard way is preparation matters a lot. And to be honest, if you're coming to Canada, always be prepared for winter. Because trust me, it's really cold. So bring proper winter clothes or be ready to get them quickly. And also, keep your documents organized. In your first few days, you will need them again and again. So it just makes life easier. When you arrive, there are a few things that makes a big difference. Setting up your bank account, phone plan early. It sounds small, but it helps you feel settled. And learning the bus routes because in the beginning, getting around can feel confusing. I remember getting lost a couple of times, but that's the part of the experience, right? Also, don't isolate yourself. Talk to people, join groups. Everything is new. Looking to make new friends, just like me. This is probably the most important one. Northway won't feel like home automatically. You have to create that feeling. Go to events, explore the city, enjoy the nature, and just put yourself out there. The more you connect, the more comfortable you will feel. I would say, looking back to my journey, it wasn't perfect, but it helped me grow a lot. And honestly, if you just stay open, take small steps, and use the support around you, you'll be okay. And one day, this place will just start to feel like home to you too. Thank you.
All right, that was awesome. Thank you, Hedvi. All right, so I'd like to say a couple special thanks to a couple people who helped with the presentation and the information here, including GuardMe, Canadore Admissions Office, the Registrar's Office, the Student Success Services team, the Residence team, Employment Solutions team, and everybody from the International Department. I'd also like to say a special thanks for all of you for attending and staying till the end. Um, but that's not it, guys. That's not it. Now we'll move on to the Q&A session. So the main presentation is done, but if you have any questions, please check out the Q&A feature, which should now be open for you guys to post questions. And yeah, well, let's get started with the Q&A. All right, I'm just gonna. All right.